Alright guys, welcome to our first cooking demo video of the Detox and Cleanse Masterclass cooking series here. I won't be popping in to the videos that often on the cooking demo videos. It's mostly right down to business here. But this type of dish is one I wanted to feature right out of the gate because it's the style of cooking that makes things quick and easy, and it's also a very versatile way to do a ton of different flavors. So what I'm going to start with here, and I'm going to describe as I'm going along. I got a deep rimmed pan. This is a wok style pan. You could do more of a skillet type. It just needs to make sure that you have a nice fitting lid to go on it to be able to do this cooking style all in one pan. So I'm going to start with a little extra virgin olive oil. And again, this is the lemon garlic chicken and quinoa. And the reason I like these types of dishes is one, it reduces cleanup. We got only one pan, and then a cutting board, and that'll make things quick and easy on that aspect of it. And then two, it helps meld all the flavors together. And three, it's versatile, meaning you could substitute in different meats if you wanted to use shrimp, or if you wanted to do ground beef or ground turkey or sausage. If you wanted to switch up your grain and use rice, brown rice, wild rice. If you use brown or wild rice, you're going to have to increase the cooking temperature. You could throw in there beans. Today we're going to stick with a little bit more of like kind of Italian style flavors, but you could go with turmeric in here or curry powder and go with that flavor profile. You could do garlic, ginger, and some soy sauce and some sesame oil and make it more of an Asian flair on there. You could add other Greek style flavors. So those are all different ways you could do it. So I got our chicken here, and I'm going to add that to the pan first after it starts to heat up. So the versatility of this style of one pot cooking is one thing that really makes it an attractive way to cook, but also helps you change things up. Helps you keep it versatile. So as we're going along here, I'm going to chop up my onion, chop up my vegetables, and get things prepped and going on that side of it. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about my theory behind these ingredients and how that helps your detoxification systems to supplement the educational videos that we got going on throughout it. So, like I mentioned in the meal planner overview, you could buy pre-diced chicken and that would make your job a little bit easier. Mine was the whole breast that I got there. Some things I'll be talking about in the next educational video when it comes to reducing your drops in the bucket and when it comes specifically to food items. I'm going to talk about buying organic. I'm going to talk about buying free-range, antibiotic, and hormone-free as well when it comes to your meats and what the importance of that is. Now, I understand that can be expensive at times. So the other thing I'm going to help you guys do is navigate which items is it more important to buy organic or grass-fed, free-range versus other ones. Now, for today, and because just like you guys, I don't buy every single item organic, every single item free-range, grass-fed, but there are certain items you want to buy more or focus on more than others. So we're just going to peel our onion. I'm going to start with dicing the onion here. Skin that's being picky. If you ever have that problem, you can just slip your knife in there and it comes right out. So I'm going to dice up the onion. Starting with the chicken, I cut it into fairly big pieces. All right, just right through there, mow through our onion. When it comes to onions, I do buy these organic. All right, we're just getting our chicken a little bit browned on the outside here before we add our other ingredients. And I'm going to kind of cut them as I go. Like I mentioned also in my meal planner overview video, quite often I just buy these baby carrots. And they're versatile as a snack. I always have carrots and hummus around as a little bit of a snack for myself. The kids like them as vegetables, and they can double down for cooking ingredients. So I got my last bag that I have here, and I'm going to chop these guys up, just a quick chop. You don't have to be too quick and precise. And as you can see, one way of saving time is you don't have to prep everything ahead of time. You don't have to chop your vegetables before you start. It takes a minute to cook your chicken. If you get all your ingredients out here and you're organized with it, you start and then you just kind of chop as you go along. Even if you don't cut up things as quickly as me, I think you can still keep up. All right, so we got these guys going. I got this on basically full blast heat, okay? I'm going to add in my garlic. Again, as I mentioned, the pre-minced garlic is just quick, easy, and convenient. You have to make healthy cooking the easy and convenient choice when it comes to stuff, so buying this can be a quick and easy choice. Do you lose a little bit of quality from a fresh clove of garlic? Yes, you do. But the convenience factor trade-off is quite often, acceptable for clients. All right, let's pull this guy out here. And I do want to show you one thing before we get too far into it. I've got kids, many of my clients have kids, and one of the difficulties that we run into is trying to cook 2 separate meals for kids, right? My youngest child is not going to eat this once I add in the spinach and all the vegetables. She'll eat the carrots on the side and she'll eat some plain chicken. So what I would do in this situation, and what I'm going to do today, because I cook these meals for you guys, but I'm eating them for my family, is I'm going to snag a couple pieces of chicken after I brown them out, set them off to the side, and then I'm going to finish them in a different pan or just pop them in the oven for a minute to get cooking that way. So that's one quick, easy tip for you guys. When you're cooking for yourself, you're cooking for your family and your kids too, trying to avoid having to cook 2 complete meals is it. So for this kid, I might do a little bit of rice or some noodles. Whoa, got carrots jumping ship over here. Some carrots or noodles on the side, and then the plain chicken. That she'll probably dip in honey mustard. I don't recommend as a health item, but it's one way for me to have my choice, not cook 2 separate meals, and we're saving a little bit of time on that aspect. Celery is also a very beneficial item to our detoxification systems, adding fiber, some nutrients, and a little bit of crunch. And again, we have these as our snack throughout the week. So that's one thing I try to do with my meal planners is cross-utilize product. All right, so that's something I'm always trying to keep in mind for you guys when I put together a meal planner for the week, making sure I'm using ingredients on multiple different days to save a little bit of money and time. So for this week, we got carrot, celery, and hummus as our snack. All right, and that goes in the pan there. Just give that guy a little toss. And then right now is where we're going to add our salt. I use pink Himalayan sea salt. And again, as I continue my theme of not fearing food, I don't fear added salt, especially when it's a pink sea salt. When it comes to sodium and sodium concerns, really, if you're starting to eliminate the highly processed foods, that's where the bulk of our sodium issues come from, not from adding a little bit of table salt in when you're cooking. All right, so I got everything in here. I'm going to bring it up just a little bit more. I'm going to just put a quick pause on the video, let this go for 2 or 3 minutes, and then check right back in with you. So as I mentioned before, guys, you could substitute in different proteins and grains. You could also substitute different vegetables. This is a dish where, I'm going to use what I have left over in the fridge. If I got broccoli, I'm going to throw broccoli in there. If I got bell peppers, if I have mushrooms, if I have different leafy greens, kale would go great in here. If I was going to do kale, I would add it in now, not at the end. We're going to add our baby spinach in the end and just wilt with the extra heat that's in there. The one thing I didn't put in earlier was my basil. So I got some dried basil here. Oregano would also go great in this dish. All right, when it comes to lemons, I've cut my lemon in half and I make sure there's no seeds in there. One quick trick for juicing a lemon is I take a spoon, and I got the back of the spoon, and I'm just going to rotate that in there as I squeeze the lemon. Really helps juice it out there. Keep an eye out for any seeds that might have popped in there. I saw one guy come out. You don't want to bite into a seed later. And there's a second one. Alright, so we got that in there. Quinoa. When it comes to quinoa, and it comes to most grains, this is one area I'm going to recommend to go organic on. The other thing I'm going to recommend with quinoa is getting pre-rinsed. Right here it says already washed. That's just going to help clean off some of the negative things that come with quinoa. So if you don't get pre-rinsed or pre-washed, you have to give it a quick rinse before you use it. No big deal. To me, I just look for a pre-rinsed, pre-washed one. Quinoa is a great grain, a whole grain, adds plenty of fiber, as do all the vegetables in this dish. And fiber is one of the main overlooked elements when it comes to detoxification, because whole food, meaning coming from grains and beans and vegetables, whole food based fiber really helps the gut health and motility, meaning moving everything through your body. And so when we're talking about the importance of gut health and regular bowel movements, the best thing we can do for ourselves is make sure we're getting plenty of fiber, which is in our plant-based foods. They also double down as antioxidant-rich foods. So when we get into the detoxification section, that's when I'm going to talk about our antioxidant-rich foods. But really what it comes down to is colorful foods. And we're looking for colorful foods, so our carrots and our celery and our spinach are the antioxidants we have in this dish specifically. All right, so we had our 1 cup of quinoa. And I wanted to also, right out of the gate, feature bone broth. So bone broth is especially important for detoxification because it contains one of my most sought after amino acids, glycine. And as I get into phase 1 and phase 2 detoxification slide, you'll see glycine mentioned multiple times, not only by itself for phase 2 detoxification, but also because it's a fundamental building block of our body's master antioxidant, glutathione. And glycine we just don't get enough of in the standard American diet and common diets. It comes from the collagen-based proteins that we used to get in traditional diets, when we would make soups and stocks and utilize the whole animal in that connective tissue breakdown. When that connective tissue, meaning the cartilage and connective tissue of like chicken or beef or bones, and the marrow inside breaks down, it takes along with it all of the collagen-based proteins. And the most important one when it comes to detoxification is glycine. So cooking with broth in general, but in bone broth specifically, not only does it add a depth of flavor to our dish, it's going to add a level of detoxification support that we're looking for throughout this whole 2-week challenge. So I do have a blog article on bone broth, including how to make it yourself. So bone broth can be a little bit more expensive than regular broth, so I don't cook with it every meal. But, this is a great way where you don't have to drink bone broth. You cook with bone broth. So 1 cup of quinoa to 2 cups of broth. This is a quart, so half of the quart is 2 cups there. If you don't feel confident in that kind of thing, just measure it yourself. All right. So we stir that all around. We got our quinoa in there. Our chicken is about halfway cooked, and while it cooks along here, it'll finish up by the time the quinoa is cooked. And then we're going to add in our spinach and fluff that up. We're just going to let it come to a boil before we turn it down to a simmer, and then let it go for about 15 to 20 minutes or until everything's absorbed in there. And so you can see how this is quick and easy. It's going to be super flavorful. You can do a variety of dishes in different styles and flavor profiles in here. We're doing lemon, garlic, and basil today. Other ingredients that would go good in this one specifically are artichoke hearts, mushrooms, and tomatoes would go fantastic in here if you have any of those lying around that you want to use up. And also, if you have not used quinoa in your meals, don't be afraid of it. Super easy. There's different colors of quinoa. This is the most common one here. There's red quinoa as well. Takes a little bit longer to cook, red quinoa does. So I'm going to set my timer for 15 minutes. Is about how long that should take. But I encourage you to try quinoa if you haven't tried it in place of like anywhere you might use rice. It's got more nutrients, more protein, and a higher fiber content than white rice. And so that's going to support your microbiome and your detoxification systems a little bit stronger than white rice will. But you could make this dish with white rice if that's what you have. All right. So I set my timer. It's at a nice boil. I'm going to turn it down to a low simmer, and I'm going to check back with you guys in 15 minutes. All right, guys, we're about in between 15 and 20 minutes along with the quinoa here, and I always feel like it takes a little bit closer to 15 and 20 minutes for me. And then I'm going to throw in my baby spinach here. Now, these containers of baby spinach, something I always keep around on hand. You don't have to be too exact with the 4 cups here. I'm going to show you. Just pop the lid off there. And this spinach is really going to shrink down. So, just a couple handfuls will do you there. I'm going to cover that off. Cover that up, turn off the heat, let it sit for 5 minutes. So as I was saying, I keep a container like this of spinach around almost always in the fridge. It's a great item to throw into dishes like this, into stir fries, into any kind of dish that we're doing, and it just adds a little bit of that green, vibrant vegetables that have so many phytonutrients with it. Now, I'm going to talk a lot about cruciferous vegetables this week, which are leafy green vegetables in particular. Spinach is not a cruciferous vegetable, technically. It's not in the cruciferous family. It's in a different family of vegetables, but still very rich in phytonutrients, and I put it in 3 different recipes this week. So we'll use this up, no problem. But it's always a great item to keep on hand. Or if you get caught in a pinch and you just need to make a quick salad, way better than your iceberg or romaine lettuce, just a lot more nutrients. So I encourage you to use this type of thing. Mixing in some arugula, which we'll do next week, and some kale are other great ways to bring in the phytonutrients that we're talking about. Now, kale does fall in the cruciferous family, so we'll incorporate a little bit of kale next week. This week will be more of the cabbage family of cruciferous vegetables that we'll be focusing on in future dishes starting tomorrow. Now, one other thing I wanted to mention while this is just wilting away here are the overnight oats. 2 ways I highly recommend pre-prepping your overnight oats on the day before. That would be Sunday, and you could prep all 3 days worth right out of the gate. I have so many clients that have success with overnight oats, guys, because 1, they're a great way to start your day with nutrients, fiber, and some healthy fats in there as well, and some protein if you mix in the protein powder like we're doing this week. Now, I want to show you 2 vessels I use. 1 is a standard mason jar with a lid. You can order these kind of plastic lids online. They're super convenient and easy. Literally just throw everything in here, shake it up, and sit it overnight. And if you had, 3 or 6 of these, depending on how many portions you're doing, you could have all 3 days set up, ready to go, or you just do it each night the night before. Another vessel that you could use is if you mix all of your portions into a glass container like this with a lid, just stir it well, sit it overnight, and then you can take a scoop out each day. So, like I mentioned earlier in the video, you got to make the healthy choice convenient and easy. And that's going to help you stick to the habits and stick to the patterns. Third tip I wanted to mention about the breakfast, because I'm not doing a cooking demo video of it, is it does have protein powder in there, vanilla protein powder. Now, what I do, instead of using milk, in my overnight oats, I don't use any kind of milk. I just use protein powder mixed with water. And that it serves as my milk portion of the overnight oats. If you want a recommended protein powder, if you don't have one, I will connect a link to my discounted recommended source, which I have here. And then also in there is a collagen-based supplement, which I will get into later this week. And then next week, we'll do a smoothie with both that and the collagen-based protein powder in it. So I'll include both of those in my link of recommended protein powders if you don't have one or if you're looking for a new one. All right, so let's take a peek. Now, that wasn't quite 5 minutes that I let it sit, but it was close enough. And then we're just going to stir everything up. And we got a great 1-pan meal here, guys, full of protein, right, to support phase 1 and phase 2 detoxification, full of colorful antioxidants with our carrots, celery, and spinach, and full of fiber from our vegetables and our quinoa, and that snuck in a dose of glycine with the bone broth. And that, guys, is how you do detoxification that tastes great, is easy, and fully supports your detoxification systems, not just hyper-focusing on restriction and a negative relationship with food. I hope you guys enjoy this dish. Happy cooking, and I'll see you in the next video.